Mm.
I just do teeny bits, like
Mm.
almost just barely more than dipping your tongue in there, and
That's good.
It's good, huh?
Are you trying some, Jaron?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I didn't grab you a piece of ice. I totally forgot.
I got it.
Oh, where's your
I
glass?
was going to remind you,
me
but
to
he
pour you
already
some?
had some ice in.
I just poured at the top of the ice, so you're welcome to have as much as you like, because that looks a little less than these, but
That's really good.
I know, huh?
It's like candy.
It's dangerous. That's what I tell people. Oh,
Mm.
Okay.
I need to get some coasters here. I keep forgetting.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Do you have a piece of cloth?
Maybe we should just get a tablecloth.
Yeah, if you can do that. Do you guys worry about product placement? Don't care. Yeah.
I don't know when they moved it, but for one of our tests, Amaron just happened to have a cigar on him, and he pulled it out as a joke, set it on the table, and it was just there for several of the podcasts.
How many have you guys done?
I don't know.
More than 10?
I think so.
Good for you.
Maybe.
Did you know it's the getting to that 10th that most people struggle with?
Mm. I didn't know that.
So it's when you a lot of people get and they run out of content, or they run out of, I guess content might be the thing, or they just run out of ideas, but that's when they really drop off. But if you can persist past that, generally, I mean, there's always circumstance, odds, maybe, I don't know. There's other unknown factors, but it's generally the people that can push past that a good amount that ends up being more successful.
All right.
Can I give you one little piece of advice too?
Of course.
See what you're doing with that pen?
Don't do that.
Yeah. When you fidget with something, it makes it gives an impression of almost nervousness, like you're busy. And even for me, like, so I don't know what the word is, but I feel people's emotions, like, huh? Probably that. But you know, the Office, I can't watch that show. I can sometimes, but there are times I watch this and it gave me so darn much anxiety. I couldn't. I'm like, I can't watch this. I get anxiety watching people like. I don't know if empath's the right word, but maybe. But I just put those over there.
Nice.
That's still. I just thought maybe that would hold this down in case somebody pulled their glass off weird, which I'm probably gonna. So.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If I had known we were recording, I wouldn't be clicking the pen. But
Well, I know. What brought it up is because when I watched Brock's, I noticed you with it.
yeah,
So if you can just,
I'll do my best. That's the thing. I usually drop it at least once every episode. I'm very open though. I will take notes about
oh yeah,
the interview, write down questions I have
nothing
to
wrong with
ask.
holding it or anything. It's just more of fidgety. It gives an impression of anxious or something, and it might not be anxious for everybody, but people feel that it's not chill and you know, if you ever watch something that you feel like you really gotta, you know. Oh yeah, yeah. Did I give you good enough content when I given my bio?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Not really a bio, but I'm like, oh. Problem is I could talk about probably everything forever.
That's not a problem in this context.
I would tell people, one time I walked into your office
sit
and
there.
walked out 3 hours later.
But did you feel the important question is, did you feel trapped there?
I told people that too. For one, I wasn't bored. And for two, when I walked out, I didn't feel like I had wasted my time there. So,
Oh, that's good.
That was my first question too. When he first told me, I was saying, well, did it feel like a waste of time?
Oh yeah. I always worry about that because my favorite thing is when it comes to experience. I mean, you can't really give people your experiences, right? But you can share your wisdom from it. But even that, with knowledge, when I learn something, I love sharing it with people. So if it seems valid, like, you know,
Is there one particular topic that you want to talk about that also you think people would like to listen to?
a topic that people would like to listen to. Well, I'm not sure what you guys have planned, so I'm just not sure what you got from questions or whatever. But something that I love is, I think. I mean, I don't know because I don't know really how to steer the conversation. I just go with it. But I do love, for men, I love them existing in, their masculinity in the sense. So I like to encourage men to be men. Cigar, like, you don't have to do this to be a man, but it can feel good sometimes as a man, within reason. I don't like. I debated on some of this because I don't like to encourage bad habits, and I know alcohol is a doozy. I listened to. Who was I listening? Oh, Hunter Biden on Candace Owens, and after listening to him, I'm like, I don't ever want to touch alcohol again.
What was he saying about it?
He was talking about, like, because he'd been on, maybe meth. I don't know. I don't know if he mentioned meth, but he was on the hard stuff. Not, I don't know all the differences in those substances, but
I think it's better not to.
yeah. But he kept coming back to alcohol, that it was far more damaging. It can be more addictive, more damaging, more uncontrollable, is what I got from him. Those are my words. I'm paraphrasing, but it did make me question, like, okay, how much should we be allowing alcohol into our lives? Because, I mean, growing up, I definitely saw that, and probably most people have, because it's not illegal like some of the other substances are, but but dang it sure tastes good.
I know.
So that's something that I think too, when it comes to alcohol, and this kind of plays into not just being masculine, but I think being self-aware. And this is something that I would push for men and women, but being self-aware, you know when you've had enough or too much. And if I always hear people talk about having addictive personalities, and I think most of us have this thing that really catches us, our probably subconscious mind, or something that really takes our time or affects our habits. But I think being self-aware can help combat that in there. I mean, there's definitely things like discipline, willpower kind of in there too. But if you're self-aware, that's when you know, okay, I need to stop, or I shouldn't do that in the first place. Like somebody that has an alcoholic history, I think they go through their 12-step program. They, and for them, they understand, like, if I take a drink, I'm going to have a hard time not taking 24 more. So I think a little bit of that self-awareness, but I guess you don't know if you've never tried before either. So, yeah. Which I don't necessarily encourage.
So do you think you could, during the podcast, talk about, like, 5 values that you think every man should have?
Yeah, sure. Can you try to keep me on track with that? 5 values, can I?
We might jump around, but
yeah. Okay.
I was actually thinking to split it into maybe saying 5 traits every man should have and 5 values every man should uphold.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Just word it like that, and we'll get to it. I mean, I'm definitely a shoot from the hip kind of guy, so.
Should I even bother with an introduction this time?
Probably follow your format if it's something you commonly do.
Probably. We're live? Great. Well, welcome everybody to the Open Chapter Society. My name is Jackson Kels. With me I have Brock Kunz Sr. If you saw the one with Brock Kunz Jr., you might enjoy this one. Hopefully you will.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I always hope they'll enjoy it. I did want to ask, this was a question that I came up with as soon as you agreed to do this. I wanted to say, basically, among most people I've talked with who know you, you have a pretty good reputation for wisdom. And I wanted to ask both about where you think the wisdom came from, and also where you think the reputation came from.
Those are good questions. So we'll start with the wisdom maybe. For one, I think probably for me is that I try not to let myself get in a space of mind that I feel wise, because I guess there's that scriptural. I don't know where. Woe unto the wise in their own eyes. It's not that I don't have things to share. I think most people do, but growing up, I was a really timid person until probably my later adult life. I mean, later, leading up to now, maybe. And so when it came to conversations, like, I'd sit near my dad and those that were over to visit him when I was younger, and I would just kind of sit off to the side and just listen. And there's that other saying, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much. I think that's what it is I don't like to, and even for when I go to job interviews and stuff too, just on that same note, they kind of ask me where I'm at or where I want to be, and I tell them I never want to be the smartest guy on the team, because I always want to learn, and I hope that there's always somebody I can learn from. And I think, I'm just imagining. I didn't really know I had a reputation like that, but I'm just, those things come to mind. I like to read. I like to understand things. I try not to go too far into. I love knowledge, information, but if there's ever something that I am not pretty certain on, I try to be very clear with that. If I'm in a conversation with that, like if we were talking about Texas, like, as far as I know, they have a reputation of driving cattle at some point, and there's a lot of guns there and American loving people, right? But I've never been there, so I don't generally talk as matter of factly about it. I think overconfidence is what can damage your reputation of having wisdom, probably. So maybe that's it. I don't know. And wisdom, I think the thought of wisdom too is like, I think most people probably want to be wise. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't. Like, if I could have all the wisdom in the world, I would take it. But to just have wisdom, old King Solomon, and he still had his unknowns. And I definitely still say my fair share of stupid things. And as far as the reputation goes, I don't know. I just like sharing experience. I think for my sons and daughters, primarily sons, because they're older. My daughters are still young, so I try to communicate to them on their age, level, so that I can be useful. But so for my sons in this case, because they're older, and I try to share my experience with them, and I think that's the big thing is people for when it comes, like, what is wisdom, and you have knowledge and experience, and those combined is what wisdom is. So you could be the most educated person in the room on a topic, but without experience with it, then you don't have, there's still a lot for you to learn, I think. Definitely, I think I've made it a habit to try to listen, and I definitely sometimes forget that too. Especially when I get a little bit too much whiskey. So,
has it ever gotten you into trouble?
Talking too much? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure. Well, I think I've gotten a reputation there too. I think I've had. Definitely, I've gotten myself into a fair share of trouble just with my mouth. Over the years, and that's, I think, part of that, experience growing up. I remember when I was in junior high, there was a group of kids across the hall, and they were obviously very tight. It was actually Granite Junior High, and they've closed that school now, and I heard it was because they had too much violence there. I don't really know the reason why. It was only a couple of years after I left there, I think, but there was a fight in that school every day, at least one a day. And so one of these kids, as I was walking up to class, like probably 2 minutes before the doors opened, he thought he was going to insult me and zinged me really good. And growing up in a family with older brothers, you learn to be a little bit quick-witted sometimes. And I turned it around before I thought about it. And this is where, my mouth got me in trouble. And I turned it back and I zinged him really hard before I even thought. And it was like, oh shit. And pretty soon I have 5 kids standing around me. And I, in that school at the time, I think there was only one other kid in that whole school that was smaller than me. So I didn't have the the brawn to back the brains, but for sure. And generally I was a quiet kid too, which surprised me a little bit that I did that. So I learned a little bit younger, but even getting older, sometimes I forget and I'll say, I say stupid things all the time, but I think I've gotten in trouble with some, hanging out with your friends, you say something stupid or a stupid joke and you might, offend some of their family in the room, or because not everybody understands who you are and if you're, how to take your humor maybe. But
I think we've all been in a situation like that. I did want to ask, what do you mean being wise in your own eyes, and where's the folly in that?
Oh, for sure, that's a good one. It's kind of like if you think you know everything, you can't be taught. And I guess biblically it could be like, you got the Tower of Babel or Babel, however people word it these days. I've heard it both, and they try to build a tower all the way up to God, and however people want to take the story, the tower eventually collapses in on their own heads because they were, but probably technologically, they probably thought they were at the pinnacle of technology, and they're doing this thing that was obviously ended up crashing down on their heads. And I think that's part of it is when you think you hold all the wisdom, like how is there more room if you've got it all? And I like to always think, for me, that there's always something more I can learn. And one particular thing is like, there was this particular comment I heard in some of my learning, and it asked the question, why would a reasonable, rational person behave the way they are in the sense? And whether that's in an argument or, some other thing, I always or generally try to approach people, and especially when they have a difference of, outlook in life than I do, I tend to ask, like, how did they get to that point? They must know something that I don't. They must have an experience that I don't. And I think where we become wise in our own eyes in that sense is when we don't ask that question and we just think, oh, those guys are stupid. I'm doing this thing, and that's what we should be doing. And that's where we end up with hubris. We end up pulling the roof down on our own heads in some cases. And I guess metaphorically, you're walking down to the beach, everybody else is running away from the beach, and you think, well, these guys are stupid. Why would they be running from the beach? There's nothing down there. Well, then a huge tsunami comes in and wipes you out, So that's kind of woe unto the wise in their own eyes, or woe unto the wise in their own eyes. That's what I would think, and I think there's been a lot of that in our country, in the last few years, especially, probably I'd say the last decade, but even through COVID, you had a lot of divisiveness. You had, and I understand we went through some scary times, but when you lead with that fear, you're not stopping to ask, like, what do you know that I don't? And so I think that's, well, there's wisdom in just stopping and having the conversation, even if you do think they're an idiot, to ask why. Let's at least open up for a minute. I probably know more than them, maybe, but I'm going to see what they know to see. And more than not, we end up learning something,
Mm-hmm.
So.
So it has nothing to do with the recognition of your own wisdom, but rather letting your wisdom cloud your vision of truth, should we say?
Yeah, definitely you can cloud your own judgment. I think that's the problem is when you do think you're wise, that sets you up for hubris. So like, yeah, you can walk in the room of and you could be the most educated person in the room, but and I'm not always great at it, but I still try to look at even people that might have less experience than me. I like to think that I can learn something from them, for me personally. And I think when we get to that point where you feel like you can't, then yeah, you don't grow for sure. I mean, a very minimal, you stop growing as an individual,
Okay.
which is not good.
So what exactly is hubris, and what does it bring about?
Hubris is a form of overconfidence, essentially, right? Let's talk about the American Revolution for a minute. We had this English army English empire that probably, I mean, they essentially ruled the world at some point. They were the military might in the world. Their navy was unmatched. Their army was unmatched. And I mean, I know there was a lot of circumstances that benefited the colonies in the Revolution, but definitely I think there was some hubris there. And the biggest one would probably be when Washington sailed across the Delaware, right? The general over there received a warning that he was coming, and they were in celebrating, thinking they had this on Christmas Eve, I think it was, and he pocketed it without reading it, thinking, well, they're never going to come here. That's like the most hubris thing you can do. And so he wakes up to a cannon at his front door, and that one victory turned the tide of the war. If they had lost that, it would have been devastating, like probably the most devastating, I think, for the colonies. So hubris, right? They're like, instead of being cautious and wise, instead of listening to those who are warning you, you pocket it. No way. I don't remember if he read it or not. It seemed like I heard he didn't, but I don't remember the details. But hubris.
What would you say in our modern day hubris leads to that it's still a bad thing?
It's a good question, because I think there's probably a lot. I think there's, like, we're at war with Iran right now, right? And I think a dangerous disposition for us to take, whether true or not, is that, well, we're the military might of the world. Same example as the revolution, right? And thinking that we can crush those guys regardless. I mean, you look back at one of the big things during the Cold War, for instance, is you had Russia was kind of meddling in the Middle East. They were fighting wars and things in the Middle East, while you had America probably and other people maybe arming these, I don't know, villages or whatever the people would be then, and you basically created this impossible task to Russia. And so we're sitting here in the same way, kind of on the opposite end now. And Iran probably isn't as small as Afghanistan and some of those guys even back in the 80s when Russia collapsed. But that was a big thing leading up to their collapse, is that they expend all of their wealth and their young men, fighting foreign wars. And now here we are doing the exact same thing. Iran's probably a little bit greater than they were then, and now you've got still Russia and China and those guys. So we're sitting on that probably chair of hubris, thinking that, well, we've got all this military technological advancement, and yeah, we're being overconfident is just never a good idea. If we don't take this seriously, this is going to be a problem. I mean, it's already a problem, but war is not. It's nothing to take lightly. But in that sense, like, that's huge hubris, and I don't care what kind of war it is. It should be taken to the utmost seriousness at every degree. And to me, I don't like fighting foreign wars, but just hypothetical, if somebody was coming into America, let's say, even a smaller country, where they might be a seemingly no threat, to me, I would, if I was the king, if I was in the position of power, if I was the one making the calls, I would meet it with the most maximum force possible, just because you don't want it to. I mean, obviously there's politics and things that get involved there too, but to me, you just don't play around. Hubris. Oh, sorry. Quote of the day.
The quote of the day. Do you know about that or no?
I don't remember about that. I might have seen it on your other podcast, but I don't know.
Around the end, I'm going to ask you about the quote of the day.
Okay.
At which point, I'll go over the last quote of the day, and you can tell me the quote of the day. And it can be whatever you want. It can be something you want to say to the viewers, something you took from your favorite book or whatever. Whatever it is you want it to be.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes.
I have fun with that. I have a thing about quotes. I like them a lot.
Well, there's a lot of wisdom in them. There can be. I've read some quotes today. Oh, go ahead.
A little bit ago, you got mad at me for reminding you that you also need to tell him the last quote of the day, so that you can think about it and possibly even discuss it.
Do we do that this early on? I thought it was like at the end.
At the beginning of the podcast, you read the previous, and then you talk about it for more than 10 seconds.
I always forget about that. I don't know if I could do the last one for more than 10 seconds. Anyway, last person.
Last what?
The last guest we had on was my dad. And his quote of the day was, "Make every day the best day of your life and mean it."
Oh, I like that.
What?
That's a good one.
Your wife says, "Jax, I feel like you have to remember that every single podcast." I'm sure what she means is you forget.
No, you forget what every podcast.
But I forget about the way that I do the quote of the day.
That reminded me of something somebody said, and again, this is probably an 80%. There's nothing's absolute. I don't like absolutes most of the time.
I really like absolutes.
Okay. Well, there probably is. There's always. Is that absolute true? But no. I'm a software engineer, and I worked with another guy. He said, "My brain is for problem solving, not remembering." And I kind of like that because, especially in coding, there's not just coding, but technology in general. I mean, there is so much to remember, to learn. And if you try to remember everything, it's like, I don't remember the code I wrote 2 months ago. So even when I have to go back, I mean, so many times, and I think most engineers can relate, but you go back and look at this old code and you're like, what idiot wrote that? Oh, that was me. My name's on there. Like, oh crap. But, it's for problem solving, not for remembering.
Yeah. I've heard that waiters and waitresses a lot of the time they take potentially hundreds of orders a day, and they're trained up in such a way that they remember every order, and then as soon as they've given the people the food and turn around, you can ask them, they probably won't remember what the order was.
That's amazing to me. I love when people have a good, strong memory, especially short term. That's my problem. Short term memory. I can remember stuff when I was 2. But you asked me what we had for dinner yesterday. Well, I do remember now, but I didn't a minute ago.
When you think about it for a sec.
Yeah, like last week. I don't remember what I had for dinner last week.
Which day?
Today, last week. So last Wednesday. Yeah, I'd have to ask the wife.
They always seem to remember.
They're good at remembering.
Would you like to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, June asks, I'm assuming you, what is your favorite movie or book?
Favorite movie or book? I'll give you both. There was a movie called The Last Samurai. That's probably one of my top. I love that movie.
How come?
Well, I like swords and I like guns. No, I think it was really good. It just has a really good story. I really like the old, well, at least what I know of the old Japanese culture. So samurai, I've always thought were pretty cool. And that kind of shows the transition from kind of old world to new world. Now, I know this was still like in the 1800s, the movie. I don't know exactly what the time is, and I don't know how much, I'm assuming it's mostly fictional. I don't really know. And I don't know if there's multiple remakes of this. The one I'm referring to is Tom Cruise. he hasn't always been my favorite actor, but he does a really good job in there. And the character, the storyline is just phenomenal. Because, yeah, like I think for me, I'm kind of a nostalgic guy. And so you can really relate to that culture change. Change is something that's really hard for people to adopt oftentimes. And I like thought-provoking things. And I think that movie has a lot of that in there. And then for my book, I really love the Book of Mormon. But if you're going non-religious, I think Atlas Shrugged is a really good one. Yeah, that's probably it.
Curtis asks, what is your favorite life memory, or what memory taught you the most?
Those aren't necessarily the same thing. Favorite and taught me the most. There's so many good ones to choose from. Like obviously, I've got 7 kids. So just got a boatload with them. But I'll dip a little further back. I've got like my sister Cindy, who passed away quite a few years ago, and I think I have a lot of good memories with her because she was so like, I mean, growing up with her, I didn't realize the hardship and trials she was going through, but she always found it in herself to be so sweet and so kind, especially to me. I think she probably had, like, she was probably one of the characters that had the most impact on me through life in that regard. And looking back, I know there's a lot of folks who would probably think that she was too timid with life, or she wasn't empowered or didn't feel empowered, or whatever. And maybe that's true. Maybe she could have got out of some of those hardships if she had felt empowered in some way. But when I really look at it, I don't look at her that way, like she was oppressed in some way. And now I know some of her life wasn't always the greatest, but I look at her like she made the choice to kind of be just kind. And I don't know if I've ever heard her say a bad thing. She was always so sweet and kind, and that's what she taught me, which I didn't always take, but tried to.
I did want to ask why you placed the Book of Mormon above Atlas Shrugged on your list of favorites.
I would say that book has impacted me probably more than anything. Didn't read it till I was probably about 18. Tried to read it a lot through my life, but I struggled reading. So that's why it was hard to pick out a book too, because I was not the most educated person growing up, still not, but I struggled with reading as a kid and growing up into that. So there was few books I actually read cover to cover before the Book of Mormon. When I read the Book of Mormon, there's just a lot of gold in there. There's lots of wisdom in there. Whether you take the book to be true or not, there's a lot of good stuff in there that you could still use in this life, I think. And something in that for men, I mean, take it story-wise or not, if you want to take it literally or just a story, but there's definitely some things in there that even young men in their time had to do, like, and this could be true with our American history, Washington and some of those guys around them. They were so young and they were doing things that men don't do today. And so that book, what made me kind of read it is I heard some folks listening to it on the radio, and I heard some little bits in there, and I thought, wait, that's in that book? I better go read that book. And it had to do with, the strategy, the armies and the wars and all the things they had and some of the strategies they used. I thought, that is amazing. Like, I don't know if I would ever have thought about that. So, and I love tactics in that sense. I love strategy. I love a lot of that stuff. So I go into that. But I also I love truth. Sometimes we have a hard time swallowing that. And whether the Book of Mormon, again, whether you take it literal or not, that is something that it really tries to drive home, is truth. And to me, that is a major foundation for me. I always want to know the truth of everything, honestly.
All right. You are Mormon, right? Like you
Ish.
said that earlier. Ish.
I'm not part of the LDS Church, so I would say, I believe in Mormonism to a degree.
Okay. Well, I was just going to ask some questions that I also asked Brock Jr.
Okay.
In this instance, I wanted to ask if you consider yourself to be a religious person, and if so, why?
Well, I know the word religion has a bad rap today, and I'm okay with that. But yes, I do consider myself a religious person because I actually look at the term religion or religious a little bit different than folks. I don't adhere to any established religion per se. Like there's no major organization that I lean to at all. There are some that I might agree with or disagree with, but I like to try to take any good principles from anywhere. Like there is a quote by one of the early Mormon leaders, I believe, and they said, if there's truth in hell, it belongs to us. And that's where I look at it. Wherever there's truth, I want it. And I don't care what religion it comes from, essentially. And so when it comes to the concept of religion, where I've heard a lot of people in my time, and you'll hear them today too, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And I think, well, that's great, and I'm not going to argue with them, but so your religion is spiritualism. The reality is your religion or your ideology, that plays into your daily habits, your actions, your words. It affects you. Your beliefs affect you, and so to me, it's very easy to chalk up that's your religion. Whatever you're really practicing is your religion, just because it's not a mainstream or an established thing. I think the word religion is just. I still think it's very relevant, and so yeah, I'm very religious in that aspect.
So do you agree with Jordan Peterson when he says, you might have seen this before, but he was in some interview and the lady asked, I think she asked, are you Christian? Like, do you believe in God? And he said, I behave as though God exists.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think that's a good stance to take. The only thing that I would differ with him probably is that I absolutely believe God exists. I might believe differently about God than some folks, but I do look forward to the idea very definitively that there is a God. But I think maybe where I differ, and this is something I've had a lot of folks that grew up around me, and I don't like fear or fear-based pressure. I think fear has been used as a form of coercion when it comes to religion, and I don't like that. I mean, I know there's a lot of scriptural things that sound scary, so that generally gets people up. But I look past that. I try to look at the beautiful things, and that's what motivates me is the beauty that can result of it. Got a question?
So, Daltron says, I used to see that when you're talking about finding your truth, no matter where it is. But I decided that if a molester has truth or good info, that I can find that info elsewhere.
Okay.
So he said, I used to see that referring to when you were talking about truth, but if I find that there is truth held by a rapist or molester, then I think it would be better to find that truth elsewhere. Basically, I know I'm wording it differently. I can't read it right here.
That sounded about right, but that sounded close. So no, I understand that, and there's always I always like to say that in life, there's never, well, shouldn't say never. I don't like absolutes in that sense because you don't know what you don't know. But one of my favorite sayings for me, and I just made this myself, but there's always a third option. And maybe he's right. Like, I'm not going to give any elevation to somebody that has done wicked things like that, because, somebody that has molested or a thing like that, that's, I don't know what you can do that's worse than that on earth, per se. Like, I'm not God. so I try not to be the one condemning, but I definitely think that we shouldn't have space for that kind of behavior. So I agree with that aspect. But at the same time, I think, and that is an extreme example, right? But I think part of the problem is I would still hold to, if there's truth in hell, it belongs to me. And that doesn't mean hell is going to get glorified. That doesn't mean the molester is going to get glorified. But that doesn't mean, I think it is definitely hubris to ignore truth, even if it comes from a source that you vehemently disagree with. Now, it's my responsibility to determine whether that's true. So if somebody has earned a very dastardly reputation, like somebody that has done something like that, it would carry a lot less weight if they are telling the truth, right? So it's my responsibility then to prove it. And so I don't like to say, well, the truth came from this place or that place, so that means, if there's options, like, if there's, I mean, I don't know what example, for instance, but, if there's multiple sources giving the same truth, then yeah, why wouldn't you go to the better one? Like, that's kind of a silly idea that I would not choose the better. But, sometimes we don't have that option. So, I mean, I guess I partially agree with him in this sense, just depending on the circumstance, but I think context and circumstance plays a big role into an example like that.
I do find that if someone is homeless, maybe they don't hold the secrets of how to get a house.
Yeah.
If someone's commit manslaughter, for example, maybe you shouldn't listen to them when they tell you the secrets of controlling your rage instead of being controlled by it.
I can agree with that. Well, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So Sensitive Sloth says, everyone has a piece of truth. Truth can still be worth learning even if it comes from the darkest people. It would be ignorant for us to ignore some truth just because it comes from an evil place.
I would agree with that. I might not go to the dark places to learn about light, and I might not go to the dark places at all, so there might be truth there that I would miss out on. But if by some happenstance I was flung into the darkness and there was stuff to learn there while I'm climbing back out, I'll take it with me.
I agree with that notion. Way back before the computer restarted itself, you were talking about masculinity and how you find that to be a big thing. I don't remember if you specified particularly in this day and age or not, but
yeah,
I think that it is in every age an important thing. Would you like to expand on that?
Yeah. So you brought up Jordan Peterson a minute ago, and I'm gonna kind of lean to him first to give a little bit of context before I lead into that. And he talks about there is a quote in the Bible, and it goes something like, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." His interpretation of that was that blessed are those who have swords, but choose to keep them sheathed, meaning they can be dangerous, but they're choosing not to be. And I think partly that is the definition of masculinity, because we've kind of grown up in a time where masculinity has been branded as toxic. And I think in some cases there are men who are themselves toxic. And if they are expressing violent behaviors, I don't necessarily consider those masculine. Now, yeah, somebody that has a lot of muscle and is a man, I mean, women can hold masculine traits too. There's probably bodybuilder ladies that could probably bend me in half. I don't know that, but they can hold masculine traits. That doesn't make them, good or bad necessarily. I think it's more of what really makes a man, and a lot of that is their masculine characteristics. And so I really like the way he says, basically, you're holding this power and you're choosing not to abuse it in that sense, And so with men are typically strong people, but I think as a men, we have to understand how to be men with that, because you can get men who are very unwise and don't know how to control their emotions and things like that, and those are those are not masculine traits. I had a friend reminding me that the other day. So you can have a strong man that is, he goes in and maybe, let's say he berates his wife, he yells at her, or just, in not good ways. And that's not a masculine trait. That's actually quite an emotional trait. And that's not necessarily a good man. Now, we all make mistakes. Hopefully a good man would learn from that and be like, oh, I did that thing and I shouldn't do that again. But Peterson also mentions being able to be an absolute monster when it's necessary. And part of being a real man and masculine is knowing when to. Because let's say on a small scale, somebody breaks into my house. I'm not going to take that lightly. I am not going to allow that danger to come into my family. I will be an absolute monster, and I will probably show no mercy. When I say break in with the intent to do harm or whatever, and that is up to me to determine what that is on the fly. Hopefully I'm all the way awake before I'm, done shooting or stabbing. I don't know, but I would rather me risk my, going to prison or whatever I got than my wife or my children to be harmed. In a more extreme example, you have a lot of really strong, hopefully wise men in your country, and the country's invaded. Well, you've got a lot of men that are going to come and do the manly thing and curtail that invasion into your own country. And those are, I know, very opposite ends of things. But if we've got a society of feminized men, I'm sorry, but they're probably not going to perform well against any kind of invasion. And I think sometimes that is why our culture has been so influenced to emasculate men, because it will be easier to conquer that way, for sure. Did I elaborate on that enough? Was there more to that? I start talking and forget about the question. So,
Yeah. I think you delved in plenty. I did want to ask, though, if everything that is not masculine is considered feminine.
Maybe I'd have to understand an example there, but what I will say there is that I think both men and women should understand how to have a degree of both attributes. So for men, I think 80%, 20%, 80% masculinity, whatever, and 20% feminine. And the reason why I say that is because as a man, I need to be able to protect and provide for my family. And sometimes that does require me to be aggressive in some ways, right? And but at the same time, when my baby girl is born, and I pick her up and I am extremely gentle and nurturing to her, that's a very feminine thing. And everybody needs to have both traits. I just think that there needs to be a little bit off center for each. So I think it's kind of the opposite, and maybe 80-20 isn't the best. I don't know what the degrees should maybe be, but I think it should be somewhere around there. And so for women, I think definitely for me, I mean, everybody gets to choose how they want to be, right? But I definitely think for me, a feminine woman is far more valuable to me and attractive to me. Not just the physical, but when I say valuable, it's for me. I'm out earning a living for my family. Life is already hard enough. I don't want to come back and battle another man in the house. And so having a feminine and more nurturing person for me, that might bring me peace and comfort, that is worth more than gold. And yeah.
Okay. So I guess, like a marriage, one must contain, should we say, the positive aspects of both masculinity and femininity. But I want to know, are there third options? So, like, if you would consider deceitfulness a trait, would you consider that to be masculine or feminine, or is there some third category that?
Well,
And if there's a third, then is there a fourth?
that is a good question, and I mean, I only have my opinions. So I will dive into politics here a little bit. And when I say this, it's because I don't want to brand women versus men, but I will look what I consider a feminine trait. And deceitfulness, I do think, is more in the right setting a feminine thing, and because it's not like a masculine thing to me is being more upfront and honest, and that doesn't mean feminine is not honest. I think there's a lot of honor in
Femininity?
Yes, femininity. Thank you. So I don't think femininity is not honorable. I think it is very honorable, and I think masculinity is very honorable too. But deception, and the reason why I bring this up in politics, because we see it all the time. We'll see a lot of doublespeak. I think that might be an Atlas Shrugged term. I don't remember. But you get politics that get up and they'll say one thing and mean another. They're obviously being deceptive. That is not a masculine trait. And I don't know that I would necessarily say that is a feminine trait necessarily, other than that it is not when you look at, two honest men trying to solve a problem, even if they just absolutely hate each other, and they might fight it out, but they're not going to take cheap shots. Typically, they're going to be there. Let's find out who the strongest one is, man to man. And so a feminine trait would be taking a cheap shot, right? And that's kind of the deception there. Now, I wouldn't expect a boxer, Mike Tyson or one of those guys to try to take a nut punch, That would kind of make them seem a little bit weaker and more feminine. Not that I think, and I hesitate to say that a little bit because I see so much beauty in the feminine traits that I almost don't even like to attribute that cheapness with it. It's just that especially growing up, I grew up with a lot of sisters, and that was their go-to is, if I ever get attacked by a man, I'm going to punch him in the groin and run, which is like, I never, as a man, that's not how, like when another man comes to me, that's the last thing I think of is punching him in the groin. Like I'm going for the face, I'm going for the neck, whatever. If I'm going for an outright win, it's the top, the top half I'm going to. And so deception is a cowardly trait. I definitely say it's not a masculine trait. I don't know that I would definitively put it in a feminine trait. So maybe that is the third option.
So, yeah, I wanted to know, basically, is there a third option that is neither and a fourth option that is both, or is it always one or the other?
No, I think maybe it's not one or the other. And just thinking about it on the fly, like I haven't dove into these entirely. Like, so if a man was being deceptive and behaving femininely, like, yeah, that's a bad feminine though. When I see a real feminine woman, I've seen feminine women who they really embrace their femininity, and that didn't make them seem weak at all to me. And I think that's a misconception there. So I don't necessarily want to categorize femininity as a weak trait. It is definitely a vulnerable trait. And that's, I think, where men, good men and honorable men, need to be up and protect that femininity in the sense and allow it to be vulnerable in a way that, because like we're losing so much beauty in the world, I think. And that is one of the most beautiful things to me. And when a woman chooses to be feminine, that's what's beautiful. If they're forced or coerced or doing it for some incorrect reason, I don't know. I think it could come more natural to a woman than it does to a lot of men. But, and again, nothing's ever absolute. But I think men need to protect that vulnerability. And I've seen some, like I said, some strong feminine women that have my absolute respect and adoration for sure. I don't know if I would say there's traits, and maybe earlier when I talked about cowardly traits, when another man is behaving in a cowardly way, I think our primitive brain might think of them as feminine, but I don't know if that's true because I've seen women who were feminine and still stood up very strong in a feminine way. So cowardice, I don't know if I would even say is a feminine trait necessarily either, because there's a lot of really strong and feminine women in history that are very respectable. And I think to a degree, sometimes they had to put on their masculine cloak too and do things that some men even weren't willing to.
So while we're on the subject, I've heard that there was some lady, some anti-feminist girl writing a lot of books, and one of the things that she teaches people is that women have no honor. What is your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, I guess that kind of plays into the two men fighting, right? And they're going to fight it out, honor. And if it was a woman and a man, it has been common that the woman wants to take the cheap shot, you know, and that maybe would be looked at as though they had less honor there. And I've seen actually, you know, men and women get in contentious situations, and where a man is going to stand there and duke it out, whether verbally or physically. Now, hopefully never physically with a woman, especially if she's weaker than him. That a masculine thing to do would be to not do that. But if it came to a battle of wits or words, I've seen very commonly today where women, or some women, not all, I don't like to group the whole, in a case that I'm thinking of, the young man spoke wittingly. No, it wasn't necessarily kind what he said, but he was provoked. And instead of taking the defeat, instead the woman takes and twists what he says to destroy his reputation. And that is weak. And I don't think a good woman would do that. But I have seen a lot of examples of that today, and I think partly maybe that is a societal thing that we need to correct, whether it's a problem in the West or the world, I don't know. But I would like to see things like that, because I've seen men do the same thing, but just not to the same degree. And, you know, growing up where I did, I see men more fight it out in a way, which I don't necessarily find respectable either. You know, I don't need to go bloody some dude's face because I disagree with him. Because I think, like I said, the masculine thing would be to know when to walk away. But I think there needs to be this point where we correct ourselves and stop doing the dastardly things. So I don't know if I would call women in general, what did you call it? What was the question?
The feminist lady saying that women have no honor.
Okay, no honor. I think people, some have honor and some don't. And like I said, there's a couple women that come to mind just in my life who have all the honor. I think their upbringing and their life experiences would shape that. Maybe in different circles that might be common. But I don't know if I could just outright get on with that women have no honor. But I mean, if you really think about that question, having honor is kind of a very subjective idea. What does having honor mean? You know, and I think in the term I spoke of before, two men getting in a ring to fight, I think most of the time it's going to be assumed I'm not going to try and knock him down and punch him in the nuts, you know, because having no honor would be, well, once I knock him out, I'm going to keep kicking him. Yeah, there's no honor in that for sure. But I don't know if I could blanket a whole group of people. So.
Okay. I'm sure you could tell, have had a lot of time to think about this. And what I would say regarding that specific question is that honor looks different between men and women.
Okay.
And so if a man and I get into a scuffle that comes to blows, it's a pretty fair fight.
Okay.
You know,
assuming you're about the same weight.
Assuming we're about the same weight class, it's going to be a reasonably fair fight. Whoever wins is just the stronger man or something.
Okay.
However, if that same man were to approach a woman and even attack her, then it's a whole other situation because she is severely disadvantaged.
Oh, for sure.
And so I do agree that it's less honorable to go for the weak points, but I wouldn't ever say that it's even less honorable than that to come out alive as a good person. You know, it's more honorable to survive by doing that, especially if you are protecting someone. Like
I
if
absolutely agree.
Someone comes to, say, kidnap your child, they've forfeit any right to honor.
100%.
And the honorable thing for a woman to do
would be
is
to
actively try to kill him.
Yes, I agree with that. And if that means kicking him in the groin, that means that. I
100
don't
times.
recommend women kick to the groin, because just thinking as a man myself, if somebody kicked me there, I'm going to probably become more violent. So if there's another way to curtail that by, like, I don't know the answers, because I'm not like a defense dude. I don't,
A second kick to the groin.
well, if you can for sure knock him down doing that, sure. I'd say read the room. But I'm gonna back up a little there and say, firstly, if a man is attacking a woman, he's already out of honor.
Mm-hmm.
So the woman is not called into question. You do what it takes to win.
Mm-hmm.
If your life is in jeopardy, honor isn't a question. You do what it takes to win. And when I say that, that's assuming you didn't put yourself in that circumstance. Like if I go rob somebody else's house and this huge, 300-pound bodybuilder comes out to bend me in half, well, he gets to, and I don't get to call his honor into question because he's so much bigger than me. Like I broke honor. I don't get a claim to that anymore. And so if a man attacks a woman, I think in that case for sure, like, but when I gave that example earlier, it's not in a case of survival mode. I'm going in a case of an exact even match, let's say. Maybe two 10-year-olds, hypothetically, because you've got a point where a male's body has not developed into a man yet, and he might not actually be stronger than the female. So at that point, I think it was evenly matched, and again, it still depends on how they were both raised up. Did they have good parents? That affect a lot of it. But no, I wouldn't shame a woman at all for playing as dirty as you got to do to win. Like if your life is in jeopardy or something like that, no question.
I think it's the same thing as like a gun, because yeah, it's as much of a weak point to shoot you in the head as a woman kicking you in the nuts when she has no tool.
Yeah.
Even though we would be on a bit more even footing, but if you attack my family,
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's any honor lost in taking
No.
the easy way out.
I don't either. So I hope I didn't say anything to make it sound that way, because that's not at all what I meant. So
Jaron will catch it in editing, I'm sure.
okay.
I will recommend that you move on.
Yeah.
I was about to move on to more the subject of masculinity and what we talked about earlier. I have two questions here. The first one is, what are 5 traits you would say every man should have?
Masculinity. I'm assuming you mean in reference to being masculine.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't thought about this a lot, but I think like I said before, and I really agree with Jordan Peterson when it comes to learning to be a gentle monster. Being masculine is having the ability to be a monster, but knowing not to, except for in the very rare and probably right condition. And I think a masculine trait is in being able to, like I said, because you can be a man and you can have what appears to be masculine in your muscle mass, your body mass, and you could be like totally out of character, behave totally out of character towards another individual, whether it be your wife, whether it be your friend, even another guy. But if you're not owning your emotions in the sense and being self-aware, I think that is not a masculine thing to do. And I think so keeping yourself kind of and being self-aware, I think, is for a man to keep his aggression in check. I guess you could say that would be a more masculine thing to do in that instance.
That one? Is that your first one?
Dang. Got to come up with 4 more. Well, no, because being like I said, keeping yourself in check as far as knowing how to be a monster, that is one. And I don't mean, let's go learn martial arts, but I mean willing to be courageous. Like that is, and there's different kinds of courage. I get it. One of them is a physical. One of them might, because there's feminine women who are very courageous too. But being a courageous man is a good thing. obviously, and I think that can be a masculine thing, and that's part of, I think, being able to stand up and be a monster when it's necessary. That's a hard thing for some people to do. You see somebody that's in trouble. How do I step in between the maybe somebody that's struggling and the threat to them in a way? So learning to be a gentle giant, that's a masculine thing. And we have I know a lot of people don't like maybe chivalry in the sense, I still hold doors for people, not just women. If I see people coming, I hold the door. My family goes in and there's people behind them. I hold it for everybody. I end up sometimes separated from my family a little bit in the line, but I think that's a masculine thing to do, not just holding doors in a sense, but being respectful to other people, and especially somebody that seems a little bit less able than you. I think like not being a slob as a man is a good quality. We all want to kind of batch out after work and relax. So there's exceptions, but take care of yourself. Go trim the beard when it's necessary. After a few days of too much scruffy, like let's keep ourselves. There is a certain beauty in a good masculine man that is well kept, and I think part of that too is taking responsibility for yourself. And I'm not going to shame somebody for not trimming their beard, by the way. But I think it is good that people don't let themselves go in that way. So learn to take some heat too, I think, is a masculine trait too. You sit around with the guys, sometimes you're going to say hard things to each other. And I think that's a good quality to have and be able to take it without getting overly offended. That's something that I'm still learning, being right honest. I've had people say some hard things to me, and it's like, you know what? That hurts on the inside. But learning to own it and take responsibility for you if there's truth in it. Generally, that's why it hurts, is because there's truth in it. So, how many we at? Where are we at?
I think that's 4.
What else is masculine? Well, I will say I'm a software engineer, so my job isn't physical. But I do think there is something in doing some physical things for men that is a very masculine thing to do, whether you're going to the gym, whether you're building something in the garage, fixing your car, maintaining your yard, doing things. And I think there is an important thing there for men to learn, in the sense of what's going to make me feel accomplished as a man, even just a little bit. I know sometimes it sucks to go out and, fix the car or do the thing, but there is something I'll throw back to Atlas Shrugged too. There is that the author talks about constantly bringing up the idea of men of ability. Now, I would say it's not just a man trait necessarily. I think the main character in there is a woman, and she definitely proved herself as a woman of ability in that sense. But a man of ability is somebody who they just get it done. You know what? Car's broken, and I don't know how to fix that thing, and so I'm just going to sit and watch TV. And it's like, well, no, figure it out. Get up and fix it. That's a manly thing to do if you're a man. I've seen women accomplish some amazing things there too. So credit goes to them in that aspect. But I think laziness doesn't look good on anybody. So anyway, I hope those were 5 good things.
Do you want to recap and summarize?
No, because I don't remember what order.
I should have been writing it down. I was just invested. I figure I can rewatch this later and take notes then.
Okay. Being a monster and knowing when not to be, which is most of the time, but being able to be. Also being, I would say, how did I word that? Gentle and I would say respectful, like when I talked about holding the door for folks, right? I guess I didn't give that one a real label, But I think it started out in that sense with defending those who are unable to defend themselves. I think it's good, and sometimes that probably most of the time in our lives that is just a verbal thing. I've seen instances where somebody is just on the underhand of a conversation, and I've seen people come in as a masculine person and not to berate either of the parties in the conversation, but to come in and come in a defense for somebody that seems like the underdog who was clearly more correct, but had the lack of words or even courage to portray themselves or express themselves. And so sometimes I think that can be a good trait. Having that courage there, I think, is beneficial. And like I said, taking care of yourself. I'm not so much a gym person. I still do some workouts here and there, but I do not find it enjoyable to go to the gym. I'll do some, workout for my knees and some push-ups here and there. I enjoy working in the garage more. I would rather do that. But I understand gym is a thing for a lot of people. So I think that can be a masculine thing, just getting some manly physical thing. And if you're a man, well, if you're a woman too and want to go that way too, I guess, but be courageous. And part of that goes into being a monster when you knowing when not to, defending those that are less able than you, keep yourself well taken care of and trimmed. And part of that, be constructive as a man, produce something in your life. Honesty, be honest. That's a good one. Are we running out of time? I talk a lot. So there's probably far better articulated things as far as masculinity go, but I think surrounding yourself with, as a man, I find it beneficial to have time with other men to do, whether it's manly things, whether you're throwing axes, smoking a cigar, or just sometimes razzing each other. Be gentle. It hurts still. But I think it's good to have man time. We end up getting caught up in our own bubbles after we get married, and we really get domesticated as men, and it doesn't always bode well for all of us. We need to get out and get some time with other men.
I didn't want to ask one other 5 question.
Oh.
And that is, what are 5 values you think every man should uphold?
Truth. And I don't mean my truth. I'm talking about, and this is where I think absolutes are good, in the sense of there is some folks' truth, and then there is the absolute truth, right? Did America win the revolution? Some people might say no. People might say yes. As far as the war goes, they did. That is the truth. That's it. So absolute, which kind of stems into honesty. I think it is important that we are honest as people. Courage. That one's something we have to practice, because you can lose courage.
Are truth and honesty different things?
Well, yeah, because it's maybe I should rephrase the first one and say the pursuit of truth. Because you can still pursue truth and not be an honest person, or an honest man, I should say, in that regard. So I would say the pursuit of truth in that regard, because to me, it is always my goal to have the truth. If there's anything that I'm interested in or need, I want the absolute truth. The next one would be to be courageous. That one's a hard one, because sometimes it's easy to cower, and sometimes you don't know when to or how to be courageous. So maybe I don't know the best way to word this one, but to be family oriented, in the sense of whether you're married or not, whoever your people are, that's your family. And I think that is something that those who don't have that, and some may choose not to, whatever, it is something that is far more valuable than wealth, in my opinion. Is when I've lost people, I've mourned far greater than when I've lost wealth, in life. So I think family, however you would want to word that, is be family oriented, or care for your people. Last one. I think this one kind of plays into the courage a little bit, but can differ slightly in the sense of, as a man, being willing to do the hard thing. Sometimes that's doing, providing for your family. Sometimes that's standing up for your family. And I know there's courage in that too, but do the hard thing. Sometimes it doesn't take courage to do the hard thing. It just sucks to do it. Go clean your room, as Jordan Peterson would say. Fix your lawnmower, whatever it is. Do the hard thing. Are those fair?
Mhm.
Just shooting from the hip. That's what I would go with. After another glass of whiskey, maybe I would come up with something better.
You ever read?
What'd you say?
I said poured up.
How much time we got?
I was just going to ask if you've read The Wheel of Time.
The Wheel of Time. No, I have not.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
It's a fantasy series. But there's one line that people say in it a lot. And I actually have a big sword, like full size, sharp and everything, with this engraved on the blade.
Huh?
Duty is heavier than a mountain. Death is lighter than a feather.
Oh, yeah. Duty.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that saying.
Yeah.
Because you think about death is scary. The idea of death is scary because it's unknown, really. And I think pain, like you associate pain with death, so pain is scary too. But when you think about it, some things in life the thought of them are scarier than the thought of death. I remember listening to a man talk about public speaking, and that was one of them that he mentioned, is that statistically, people fear public speaking more than they fear death, which is really fascinating to me. I never would have thought of that beforehand. So, yeah, duty is heavier than a mountain, and death is lighter than a feather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's easy to die. Sometimes it's hard to live.
I really like it. I like the idea of duty.
Yes.
And
I think that's probably one of those traits I should have got in there. Maybe you should have helped me there.
I put, when you were saying basically doing the hard thing, like sometimes that's providing for your family, because sometimes it sucks to go to work. I just wrote duty, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard.
Yep, I think that's probably a far better wording, is duty.
Mm-hmm.
There is a sense of duty we should have. But I think that's not just for men. I think women have their sense of duty too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They do. I told your son this, I don't remember, but it's a lot easier to come up with the word when you're not the one who's talking.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Should we go into those questions?
Sure. Sis Kunz says, what is your favorite firearm?
Oh, well.
What a fun question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Favorite firearm. I love long distance. So probably anything quality with a scope. Being honest, I'm not as, some of my boys are far more gun enthusiasts than I am. So if I had to pick one with a name, and I'm totally going to fake it here, I think it was a Remington R700. Maybe it's a Winchester. I think it was Remington R700. It's like a sniper rifle, right? And it's a high powered. And if off the top of my head, if somebody said you get any gun, legal gun, I assume that one's legal, I would take that one. I love scopes. I like sniper.
Second question. I also want to know what a piece of marriage advice is, whether it be real or controversial.
Any marital advice, I think there's a lot that could be said there. But I think duty, like we just spoke of, is something that is very important, because if in a marriage you ever go into a marriage with this concept of that I can walk out of this at any time, you're not going to, I don't think, put your all into it. There's always this idea that I can just back out or run home to dad or mom or something. And so one of my favorite things in history or not, and I believe it was Alexander the Great, I might be mistaken, who took his army across the water and unloaded his men to siege, and he burned his ships, because we either conquer this or we die. And this idea that we can retreat is where we are failing hard today. And so sticking it out. I mean, yeah, at some point you get defeated to the point of just where you have nothing left to give. I get that, but this idea that, you know, having one leg in and one leg out, your sense of duty is not all the way there. Your sense of dedication is not all the way there. And to me, like if I was ever granted life again, going back into my younger days, if I had to do it all again in a different setting, because if it was the same setting, I would do it. I probably did. Maybe I would make some different choices, but that's, for me, that's what I would look for in a partner, whether it be a man or woman. If I had to do this again as a woman, for instance, I would want to find a man that had a sense of duty to me, in the sense of, you know, I can absolutely trust that this person isn't just going to walk away from me, because then I can give my all. I can be completely authentic, if that's the best word to pick. I don't know. I say authentic. I don't know how better to word that. I can be who I am. I can give it my all. I know I'm not perfect, but I want somebody at the end of the day that is also going to give me their all and not feel like, you know, they can retreat. Because the idea that I have to worry about divorce, in the sense, now I understand that can be taken to a degree where, you know, well, if it's a guarantee they're never going to divorce me, I don't have to put in my effort, which is, to me, one of those non-masculine traits for a man. And I hate that. I don't have to put in effort. But at the same time, I'm also going to come as I am. If I have to change who I am for somebody, that is not where I want to be. I don't want to wear a mask. Obviously, my habits and some things about me are going to change, because I'm bringing this other person into my life who hopefully I care for very deeply. And those are things we'll figure it out on the way. And so we have, I guess you could say, you know, you've taken each other's life story and you've put it into our story, you know, and now we're going to work for that. We're going to work toward that with a sense of dedication and duty. And if I have to constantly worry about somebody leaving, including myself, you know, if I have to worry about that I'm just going to want out of this, or they're going to, I don't feel like you're giving it your all. So when people get in and they seem kind of flimsy there, and then claim that they're giving 110%, I'm like, no, you're not. You can't. If even subconsciously you got this idea that you can walk back out the door, you're not all there. And so to me, I think having a dedication and that sense of duty, burn your ship. When you go in, burn your ship and find somebody else that's going to do the same thing. Sometimes marriage is damn hard, and you want somebody there that's not just going to bail on you when it gets hard. We always say for better or for worse, but then everybody wants to bail when it gets for worse. Like, life is hard. You know, some people have a silver spoon, but we don't all get that, and most people don't. It's not a Disney fairy tale. Let's get rid of that. We almost need to wipe Disney from the earth, because this fairy tale land, we've got to get in, and we've got to burn our ships and dedicate to one another in a way that we're not just going to bail. I think that's the biggest thing for men and women, is a constant fear, especially in today. We have this constant fear that somebody's going to bail on us. So we change our behaviors in such a way sometimes, even if they're very minute changes, to where I think it can influence and ultimately cause what you're trying to avoid in the first place. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but
we liked it.
Burn your ship.
I've heard some crazy pieces of marriage advice. I have a pretty good one, if they want to hear it.
What do you got?
I've got. Never. This is going to sound bad, but give me a second to explain.
It's always the best way to lead.
Never tell your wife when you get a surprise day off work. Get up on time for work. Go out and get her some flowers.
If she likes flowers.
She loves flowers.
Not all of them do.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Some of them might want a hot coffee instead.
Well, whatever it is, just...
But I agree with your sentiment.
It doesn't cost you anything, because you were already going to be up that early.
Yeah.
And it actually saves you effort, because, I mean, I do work a physical job. I actually
appreciate that idea, because as a very uncreative person and somebody like me who gets very over analytic, I love doing things for my wife that will just make her day. But I overthink them and ultimately get stuck in analysis paralysis and do not end up doing nothing. So if they saw the gymnastics that was going across in my mind, maybe they would appreciate it. But unfortunately, I can't show them that.
I do that sometimes, but I find that it's easy with this in particular because
I'm gonna take that out of your hand. I'm gonna add that to mine.
good. Every man should do it. It's it's so incredibly simple.
But only if she's not watching. Don't expect this ever.
Well,
if she's watching.
that's
I
why
don't
you
know.
don't tell her.
Yeah.
Your wife expects every work day you're going to go to work. And then
Yeah.
if one day your work is like, hey, we're having this Friday off, just don't tell your wife.
I work.
Get her flowers, make her breakfast in bed, whatever it
I
is.
work from home, but I'll figure it out.
If you work from home, it'll be even easier.
Maybe she gets up with me,
Ah.
and she walks me to my office.
Just get up.
She helps me cross that road of the kitchen, the vast kitchen road there.
Get up like 10 minutes early and say, you have to pee.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, next question.
Sis Kunz also asks, who is your favorite daughter-in-law?
Well, that is probably the most important question here, and let me answer this one. It's the daughter-in-law that makes my life the easiest. You know who you are, probably.
Having them answer the question for you.
Well, I have 3 now, and I love them all dearly. It's interesting seeing all their different personalities, and it's hard watching your kids get married because you have to detach from them, and that's very difficult. I think it's difficult for their mom more than it is me to a degree, but it's just it's hard to let go of your kids. You just love them so much, and they grow up, and you don't realize they're adults, and then they're getting married, and you're like, whoa, hold on, wait, we weren't here yet, were we? But all 3 of my sons have chose very wisely, and they chose they chose really well. They got some good people, but they're none of them, as far as I can tell, their personalities are not at all alike. I mean, they have crossing like characteristics, but they've got some very beautiful attributes about their character that I have appreciated in all of them. But they're different. I mean, how would I choose that? I mean, I'm not going to answer that, obviously, but I don't know how I would choose. Like, if I had to choose, if it was like a do or die, I was like, I'm going to go with the blonde one. I think they're all blonde.
For context, they're all blonde.
They're all blonde unless they're faking that out. And if they are, that's their fault.
Automatically not favorite anymore.
Pretty sure they're all natural blonde, so.
2 more questions. If money wasn't a problem, what would your house look like?
What would my house look like?
A castle.
Damn, great. Actually, we got this mountain up here right behind us. And before Harriman was even a city, really, I mean, it has been for more than my life, but I remember when this is all undeveloped, and I always looked at the top of that. I used to joke with some of my friends, I wanted a castle up there with a cannon tower on it, because I love castles. If money was no object, I would absolutely have a castle. Drawbridge, moat, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm. I would want a
Castles are
castle
cool.
too.
They're masculine.
One thing, I don't know why, but I would want a throne, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. I've been thinking about building some of those in my garage. I love woodwork. I have been thinking a lot how to build a throne. I want to build one for me and my wife. Don't know where I'd put them because we don't have a throne room. Now we're gonna have to get one. I'm gonna have to get a second job so I can buy a castle now. No, but yeah, I like woodwork too.
Me too. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's also easy. I work in a cabinet shop, so I just go grab some scraps, throw them together.
That's what I did. I like building boxes. Those are a lot of fun. But I bought my wife a nice computer and everything. Wasn't sure exactly where to put it. So there was a spot in our house that was so big, so I built a custom desk there. No nails. all pegs, mortise and tenon, everything. Love it. It's so cool.
That's cool.
Took me a long time because I've been into woodwork for a long time. I still didn't know what I was doing. Turns out there's like almost a religious dedication you have to have there to get wood smart, maybe. Is that the word? But
Close enough.
But I love it.
Hmm. I recently bought my wife a nice PC. I'm jealous now. It's
Hers is better than yours?
yeah.
Well, that's not, you can't do that.
I know. I didn't want to, but she said that she wouldn't, under any circumstances, use my old one.
Hear me out. If she didn't see the computers, would she have known? If she couldn't see the tower?
I don't know, but she could see the tower.
Next time, come build it at my house. Bring your old one. I'm joking.
Maybe.
She
Just
deserves
swap
nice,
out the guts.
She deserves nice things too. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it. No,
Well-
I did the same thing with my wife. Hers is probably as good as mine, and in some cases, I think maybe better.
Mhm.
But
Mine's a mid-range, or it was a mid-range when I built it.
I built mine to be more like a server, so I needed more like cores and stuff. Where hers is more geared toward gaming, where it doesn't need quite as many threads and stuff. So hers is probably better for gaming. But I run a lot of server stuff on mine just because I tinker a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Nice. But anyway, I was saying, bought a nice beefy PC for my wife. I'm super jealous because there's a bunch of new games that I want to play and my PC can't run them. But I spent all this money. It was actually pretty nice. It was less than $1,000 for the PC, pink keyboard and mouse, pink headset, and a monitor. Less than $1,000 for all of it.
Wow. Nice.
And there was no time to get her a desk, like to build
Oh, yeah.
one. So we've just got 2 totes with a board of wood
Well-
laid across right now.
My wife was kind of in that space for a while till I got that built.
Mhm.
But how much time do we have left? Like
As much time
Cause
as you want.
body language. Yeah, there's a lot there. That's all. Body language is fascinating. I'm definitely by no means an expert there, but I do try to be self-aware of my own, especially in sometimes tense situations, because you can de-escalate contentions by not allowing your body language to come across as overly defensive or overly aggressive. Both of those can have a negative influence on a tense situation. If you and your significant other are having a conversation about finances, for instance, sometimes that's a hot topic for some folks, and your wording obviously plays a lot, but if your body seems tense, that can give the other person a sense of tension as well, and then things can escalate, especially if they might not be self-aware, and most people aren't aware of their own body language. It's not something we teach, which I kind of wish we would in certain aspects. I guess with body language, you think of yourself almost like every day you're selling yourself to somebody. You want somebody to buy who you are, whether it's your wife, in your case, or whether it's at work. Body language can affect, if you're a salesman, they can affect how successful you are. Your body language, it can affect whether people buy what you're selling. So yeah, it's a good thing to learn. And there's obviously experts that get into it. There's like little micro expressions you get on your face with different conversations, whether you maybe disagree or agree with somebody when they say something or do something, whether you're being truthful or not. And this is where too it's important for you to be able to express yourself. And this is where, kind of going back into that marriage advice, is burn your ship and find somebody that'll burn theirs too. So once you have committed and have dedicated yourselves to this, you are going to accept who they are more, right? And if somebody can be completely truthful with who they are, then they hopefully are not feeling like they're in a place of having to stuff things down in their body. And this is relevant because if you have emotions that are not being addressed, and we all have those, I think, I don't care who you are, your communications, probably 100% of communications can be improved. I don't think anybody will ever completely master it. That's just my opinion, of course. Maybe there's somebody that'll check me there. But if you hold things in, they will come out. Maybe not out of your mouth, and oftentimes in your body language. And one instance is, let's say you are struggling with something that your significant other has done, and you have a little bit of anger there. And as soon as they walk in the room, they're noticing how you're not looking at them with the same adoration you did yesterday. And so they can feel that. So delaying the conversation or stuffing it down to never speak of it again, well, you're slowly putting a brick into that wall of resentment that you're going to be carrying, and it will come out in the way that you don't look at them with the same admiration or adoration. And so your body language screams sometimes louder than your words if you don't address your thoughts and emotions. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, it does the same. Some people are maybe a little better than masking, but eventually it comes out. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Could you give us any tips on how to use our own body language? Like, for example, what could I do to show maybe a customer that I'm more trustworthy, or maybe show my wife that I've got it handled?
To show a customer that you're more trustworthy, or show your wife that you've got it handled. What?
Was I clear enough on that? Like
is that two different questions?
two different examples. It's one question to say, what are things we can practically apply this, or how can we practically apply this in our life? Like, for example, is there a way that, like, if I lean more like this, will a customer think that I'm more trustworthy? Or if I hold myself more in that way, than in a tense situation with my wife?
I don't know if trustworthy is, again, when it comes to human behavior, I don't think anything's absolutes, and body language does, I think, tend to change through history, culture. Like, we used to walk differently, 200 years ago. People stood different, walked different. Everybody had canes at some point, right? That was popular, so they'd lean on their cane one way. We don't do that anymore. But I think the important thing to know with body language there too is your intention. It's almost like your intention can be directly tied to your body language in that sense too. So if you are being completely honest with this person, you still might have some nervousness that maybe make them question that. So it's important for you to be aware of that and try to like calm your nerves. I know sometimes with sales or whatever, there might be high stakes and you might get some nervousness. But if your intention is there, I think most people are going to feel that in some way. And so I think are you looking at that person like they are a payday for you, a cash cow for you? Or are you looking at them as if though whatever you're selling is really going to benefit them and they should have that? So those are two different things. And what I mean by that is, are you selling them something they don't need and you are being dishonest with yourself in that aspect? Now, I'm not a salesman for a reason because I wouldn't be good at it. But I think people can feel that dishonesty in your body language even little by little. I don't know if that I would be able to identify it specifically, but your behavior, sometimes overconfidence or whatever, can come across as though like, I think they can pick up on that through your body language if you are sincere with what you're selling. Or do you look at them like they're just a payday? Are you really trying to help them, or are you really just trying to get their money? Those things come out in you, and I don't know that I would be able to tell you how to shape your body in a way to be more deceptive if you were trying to sell somebody something they didn't need per se. I think your sincerity and your honesty is going to speak volumes more than that. So there is I guess, a level to that, and honesty comes out, and a lot of people, they can read your body language. They don't know that they're reading it, but they can. It's a subconscious thing, I think, for most people. And I can tell, like, the way you're leaning on your hand right now, right? Sometimes that's a thinking pose, or like heavy things, you know. And I don't remember which way. Depends on which way you're leaning, but there's sometimes people, when they're taking in a lot of information, they tend to lean one or the other. You can tell if somebody's creating a story. Generally they will tend to look more up to their right, like, okay, let me get creative here. If I'm looking from my history, like if I'm thinking of like what I ate last week, like I'm like, oh, what did I? So you tend to go, their eyes will move in different directions. Am I creating content to speak? Am I getting content that's already there, that's in my, knowledge base, I guess, for my understanding. Anyway, those are little things that I've learned, but again, I'm not an expert.
Okay. That's pretty good to know.
But if you go out in general as a salesman, I think, with the intent to help people, like, yes, salesmen have a bad rap, and that is a lot because you've had bad salesmen that were there to take advantage of folks. But if you're out there legitimately to benefit those who are in need of whatever it is you're putting out, that comes across, and that honesty will come out in your body language most of the time. That's it.
All right. Nice. That was awfully educational.
No more questions.
No more questions?
Okay.
But you did pass the 2-hour mark.
Sweet.
Is that good?
That's good.
So normally we will go for 2 hours on whatever topics or discussion, that you have planned. Once you get to the 2-hour mark, you can basically ditch those and talk about whatever the heck you want.
What was that all about?
So far, I fidget with the pen,
Yeah.
and every single episode, because
Oh,
I'm
you
very
had to
open.
drop your pen.
I'm very open about this.
Yeah.
I'm good at flipping a pen.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll never drop it.
Yeah.
I'm obviously more interested in what the person's saying that I
Yeah.
drop the pen,
Yeah.
but I'm also a very fidgety person, and so even like I'll be watching my favorite movie and I'm locked on it and I'm still need to do something with my hands sometimes. So
I tend to do that too sometimes.
yeah, a lot of people think that I look disinterested.
That one was more honest.
Yeah. A lot of people think that I look disinterested sometimes, and I want to be very clear that I'm not. If I wasn't interested, I wouldn't be having that conversation, or I'd try to steer it in a way that I was more interested.
So that's where, when we had the body language conversation, that I would recommend somebody to work on that, because even if your intention is that you're interested, you're still sending those signals, and that's why people say that, is like, it looks like you're, because they pick up on that, and so you do, or you can turn people off. So it's good to understand your traits so you can kind of master them. And anyway, you do what you want with your pen.
I need to stop doing it probably, or maybe just hide it somehow.
No, I mean, if it's your like signature thing, you do you.
I didn't. Huh?
It's a gimmick.
There you
It
go.
was a gimmick. I didn't even know that I was doing it until Helaman's, and that was the third one we did, right? I didn't even notice dropping the pen, but then during Helaman's, I dropped it probably 40 times.
That's probably good. How did he take that? Did he call it out?
I think he did. I don't remember, but he might have. He didn't in the finished
So
product.
in that regard, I would just hypothetically be like, that means you're probably more interested in what he was saying, which makes me think, crap, you didn't drop it at all when you were talking to me.
That's because right off the bat, you said not to fidget with it.
I know.
I was sitting there and I drum with my thumb.
Yeah.
From this side, you could see I grabbed my shoe like that.
Have you ever
just 'cause I-
just sat And this is kind of something people can do too. If you have something like that with your body and your emotions and your thoughts they're all connected 100%. I mean, assuming you don't have some kind of disability or, but on average, oh yeah, sorry. But on average, they're all connected. And so have you ever actually just while you're sitting there, you ask yourself the question, why do I feel the need to do this? What am I feeling? Ask yourself that. What am I feeling when I'm doing this? And it doesn't mean it's going to correct it, but you might get a better understanding of yourself as to what's happening there.
I'll have to do that. I haven't done it, but I would guess that it's because my mind is so often in turmoil.
Yeah, well, maybe. But something else too, I would, which kind of reminded me of that too. When I look at other people's body language, if there's something sometimes that I'm like, they did that thing and that made me, I'll ask myself, sorry, dang, I'm a hands guy. I talk with my hands.
We all are.
When I see somebody moving or like when I see body language, I ask myself, what am I feeling or thinking when I'm doing that? There is a level of probability that they're thinking or feeling the same thing that I do when I'm under that, because we're all very similar. People, I think, are more alike than we think. And so that's why people pick up on this stuff and think, what's going on there? Now, it might seem to you like seem to them like you're uninterested because that's maybe what they would do if they were uninterested. It might seem like you're in a hurry. It might be that you're nervous or something. And it's because that's what they do under those circumstances. And it could be that you have this underlying nervousness from, I don't know, 5 years ago, something happened and you just are carrying this thing. That's why I ask you, have you ever actually thought to ask when that's happening and nobody else is around to interrupt your thoughts? Why am I doing this? What am I feeling? What am I feeling in here? In here, you carry your feelings in your gut. You carry them in your chest, your shoulder, everywhere. So really, like when you ask, sometimes if it's an attribute or a body language or whatever that you don't want, then you can clear them up that way by having that understanding of yourself and trying to work through that emotion or thing, I guess.
I will have to try that sometime.
Not saying you need to.
No, it sounds fun to do. I do. The reason I assume it is because I like to write, and what I like to write is mostly like adventure stuff, and so in my head there's constantly like knights fighting dragons, people shooting at each other,
So you like
people falling in love, like it's
high adrenaline books.
Well,
I just kidding.
No, it's just good books and important things.
Okay.
But scenes like Samwise Gamgee fighting Shelob, stuff like that happening in my head all the time.
Oh, well, I could see why
excitable all the time.
I could see why you would need to release some energy some way.
Yeah.
You got some serious edge of the seat thoughts. Yeah, there you go. Before you get too far, remember the quote of the day.
That's right. What is the quote of the day?
Is this one that I give you?
Yes.
Is this one that you
this
give
is
me?
One that you give me.
Oh. Gull.
Is that part of it?
Golly. Maybe I would go with that one earlier. I don't want to get too religious or scriptural, something more profound. Actually, there was one that I saw. I have no idea who the author was because it came across as a meme or a tweet. So shout out to whoever came up with it. But I really liked it because I love the pursuit of truth, objective truth in a sense. And so I'm going to paraphrase them because I don't have the meme in front of me, but it really struck me. And it said something to the effect of that we should We should be always in the pursuit of truth and speak the truth, even oftentimes though it is going to do us harm. And I'm probably horribly butchering that, but butchering that, I should say. But I think the intent was that sometimes the truth hurts us too, but it's still better to speak it than not. And I don't mean to be I think years ago we had this idea of radical honesty, which was giving people the excuse to just come in and be a huge asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't need to always say something. Just because something's true doesn't mean we need to say it. There are things that can be left unsaid, but when it comes to the pursuit of truth, I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think being honest is also. So
it was, we should always be in the pursuit of truth and speak the truth, even, you say, when or though it'll bring us harm.
Even when it can do us harm.
So, a quote I found here is from Adrian Rogers. It is better to speak the truth that hurts and then heals than falsehood that comforts and then kills.
Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, that's kind of up the same line.
Mm-hmm.
I sent this one to somebody. I'll find it. I just sent it to somebody. Wow. I text a lot.
I know.
Okay. I totally butchered this. Somebody named Leo Tolstoy, novelist. I'm guessing this is like
you
a
don't
Twitter.
know who that is?
No, they're a novelist. That's who it is. The name sounds familiar. I don't know who it is. Do you? Tell me.
Like War and Peace, Leo Tolstoy?
Okay, well, I've obviously never read that book. So
Anna Karenina?
Huh?
Anna Karenina?
I know the book. Never read it.
Okay.
I know, I'm behind. In order to live a good life, you have to place truth above everything else so that you don't fear speaking the truth, even if the truth harms you as you speak. I love that. That is such a beautiful thing.
You send that to me?
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
I think if it will let me here, yeah. Oh, goodness. I'm going to, are you on like Telegram or? Yeah. I think what I love about that is that if we can be very truthful like this and not hide, we all make mistakes, but if you can expose who you are, honestly, then you don't have anything to hide, and you don't have, because it's those little things. Even though we're embarrassed of something, we're still kind of trying to cover our tracks of this mistake we made. And so, like he says, if the truth harms you as you speak, and then not only that, but you can't improve yourself if you don't. If you're bending the truth, you don't improve as a person. I don't know. Anyway. It's a nice book.
What is it?
It's a collection of Leo Tolstoy books.
Leo Tolstoy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The version of Anna Karenina in there isn't the one I'd recommend. I'd recommend Unabridged.
Oh, he has a couple different books, huh?
Yeah. He's got a lot of different books.
So yeah. Okay.
But you can borrow that if you want.
Okay. Is this okay? So this is a few books in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a collection. The real big one though, Anna Karenina, is abridged, and I would recommend just getting Unabridged. It's good. It's about marriage.
Oh, probably a good one then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I'm not just gonna say it's about marriage. It's more about unhappy marriage.
Oh, okay.
And so Like the first line in the book is happy families are all the same, but every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. And when I was reading it, I got the idea that he wanted to sit down and write a story that tells people how to have a happy marriage, and then realized that was way too hard. There's way too many variables. So instead, he wrote a book about how to guarantee an unhappy marriage. And so all the characters have an unhappy marriage, but it might be like because you cheated on your spouse, or because you won't forgive your spouse, or because
Yeah.
you married the wrong person and then went
Yeah.
to your spouse, or whatever it is.
I think that's I think that's a good, interesting. I think that's an interesting idea because going kind of back on that conversation, somebody asked about marriage advice, and I think that's something that I would have added because you mentioned somebody you marry the wrong person. Um, when I give marriage advice in that sense, it is never my desire to see somebody stuck in unhappiness. I do think happiness is a choice, though. I think love is a choice also.
Mm-hmm.
I think this worldly like enamoration that we convince ourselves to have for certain individuals is not real love. I think we're enamored with an idea that we create in our minds most of the time. And so choosing to love somebody, though, that is when you go all in, right? And but I think it is important on us as parents, and I wish our culture was more apt to this. Is instead of being like, you know what, it's all for love, it's all for love. This Disney thing where we're gonna run away and elope or something because it's all for love. We barely met each other last week, but we're just gonna, you know, finish each other's sandwiches, and we're gonna but this idea, I think, needs to be dispelled, and I think we need to teach our young men and women how to find somebody that is a good match for them. No, it's not going to be romantic in the sense, probably. I still think it can be, but love is a choice, absolutely. And I think if we essentially teach them what is going to be good for me, you know, and we've gotten to this point where in life, well, I'm not going to tell my kids because they have to figure it out themselves, or I'm not going to influence him and who he picks because then that takes the romance out of it, or it becomes an arranged marriage or something. And it's not that I'm going to pick out somebody for them, but there are attributes where I'm like, look, you know, maybe if you, whether it's a son or daughter, like maybe don't just go jump in with that person that has borderline personality disorder. Let's see if they are treating that first. There's a lot of mental disorders, and this is just scratching the surface. Let's not marry somebody that has a major mental disorder that's being untreated. That's going to set you both up for a lot of unhappiness. Let's make sure they are somebody that, you know, is going to be a good fit for you. And this kind of goes into the masculine feminine thing too. Like if you're a man and you're like, well, I just want to marry a woman that is mostly feminine and has all these feminine traits. Oh, but man, that beautiful woman over there, I'm just going to go and marry her because she's beautiful. I want her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she might have a lot of masculine traits that are going to make you hopefully unhappy in the long run, and you're going to end up in divorce because all you married her for was those pair of beautiful eyes, you know. And you know, speaking from a man's point of view, anyways, and it can be the same thing on the other hand. If there's women out there that might want men that are more feminine, and if they marry a masculine man, that's going to be a hard battle for both of them to figure out that dance, you know, because this masculine man might go in and be like, well, I'm not going to be feminine. So instantly there's contention and unhappiness, right? And these are conversations we don't ever teach our kids to have before marriage for some reason. It's like, you know what, go out and just experience the world and do your thing. And, you know, if they like this thing and you also like this thing, then maybe, you know. So to me, I wish people would have these conversations more. So I tell all of my kids, I don't care what the conversation, how far out there, what it is, you need to have all of them before you marry somebody. Finances, intimacy, children, religion, philosophy. What does it look like? Who's the breadwinner? Who's, you know, is there going to be a stay-at-home mom or dad? Is there going to be? These are all questions like you should sit down and hammer all of this out, finances especially, before you get married. And I don't mean just a one-off question like, hey, I'm going to work and you're going to stay home. Okay. Well, like, yeah, that's, maybe some people can do that,
Hmm.
but I think it should be a more in-depth conversation,
Hmm.
but anyways, marriage.
Yeah. I heard one thing I liked. They said basically love is an action or a verb,
Hmm.
and when people use it as a feeling, they describe the feeling that propels you to want to perform this action. And basically, you don't love your wife by sitting here going, "Oh man, I love her. She's so beautiful." You love her by showing her that you love her. You love her by
I
maybe
agree.
doing acts of service or
Yes.
holding her hand when you're going for a walk, whatever
Yeah.
it is. It's an action. And it takes conscious thought, and sometimes it takes work.
Yeah.
And the thing is, love is what occurs when you perform that action. And love is
Yeah.
what is shown to the other
I,
person.
I think I think I like that, in that sense, because the only, yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. And I think love is also, when you refer that to an action, something that comes to my mind in that aspect is that sometimes, as a spouse, um, it's hard to have certain conversations. It's hard to have hard conversations. But if you are hiding it, and I don't want to say hiding it, but if there's something that's really bothering you and you are just swallowing it and you're not trying to address it, and that takes two in that sense, because it does take a way of approaching it gently, and then on the other person, they have to be able to accept it gently in some way. But if you aren't trying to help this situation, I think you are in some cases holding love, or withholding love, I mean, in that sense, because if you are a loving wife or a husband and something seems off to you, it should be your duty to kind of correct it. Now, sometimes if there's a ball of anger around that, maybe cool off first. Don't have conversations in anger. That's not a good idea. But uh, anyway, I agree with that. I
Mhm.
like I like that definition of love in the sense, because love is definitely abused. The term is abused, and it means like not being an action word, like you said. There's no objective like definition of it in that sense. Like everybody uses it to mean something different. Because my expressing of love is working and providing and doing all the things I do for my wife. But if hers is that I'm not speaking it enough, well, there's gonna be a problem there. And I
Mhm.
know people have their love languages and all that, and that's something that I think needs to be kind of taught too in our men and women, in the sense of, um, I would say, average and general, characteristics. You know, I think for most men, from my understanding, is that is how he expresses love, is by providing and protecting his family. That might look different to some folks in different ways, but generalizing. And so if a woman, um, can identify that and realize, oh, he's going and doing all that hard stuff for me because he loves me, because he adores me. And, I think, I know it's not fancy, it's not kneeling, with praise and all the things, um, but I think if they can recognize that from a man, and it's the same thing from a man, there are attributes that women have. I'm not a woman, so I can't speak to all of them, but there are things that they do that are absolute love. Like, I work from home, and all the time I'll just be working. Sometimes I'm in a meeting, over Zoom, and my wife will bring in, a hot drink, whether it's coffee or tea or whatever. And if I'm on a meeting, she sneaks around and kind of puts it on. And in that moment, she said very little, but everything at once. That to me is so much love, because you thought of me and you identified that I was doing my duty here, um, and you are here to support me. That was a very beautiful thing you just did, and it was probably the smallest and easiest thing you could have done was pour some hot water on that tea bag and put it on my desk. Like, it took probably very little effort. Maybe some people it's a big effort, I don't know, but the fact that you did that and supported me in slaying my dragons, I I don't know. That to me is that woman is a crown of glory in that moment. you know. Anyway,
That's
made me
really
feel
great.
like a king.
I did want to ask before we get the opportunity to end it, who is someone that you respect or look up to? And it's a double question because I follow with who should I try to have on next?
Okay.
Or maybe not next, but
Um. I have a lot of people that I look up to for different reasons, I think, and that I really love dearly. Daniel Sr. I think very highly of him. I have my brother Jonah. I absolutely love him too. Yeah. That's a hard question because I could probably list you off a name of like 50 names right now because there's been people that have been there for me, and somebody that I think could be really fun, whether he'd come on or not, I don't know, is my brother Boaz. He has experienced life in some ways that I don't know that I'll ever have the chance, and some of them I don't want the chance. I mean, he's been through some hard things that I respect that he's gone through it, and enough that I don't want to have to experience it myself. But when I was going through my divorce years ago, and I was struggling very heavily, and I don't get to see Boaz a lot, but in that moment, I texted him because some of my other friends weren't available. And so I texted him like, "Hey, I'm kind of going through a thing, and all he texted me back was, "I love you. Come over." He's been through some shit, and he has a lot of experience, and so that's to me something that I look to. So I think your dad would be fascinating. I really like your dad a lot.
For our audio listeners, you might need to.
Oh, Stanley. Does he have a preference there?
Stanley.
Okay.
he prefers Stanley?
He doesn't have a preference.
Okay. Well, I really like Stanley. I'll just share a little memory. Years ago, we were helping build his house out here in Herman, and I was just there to hang out, kind of with everybody. Not a lot, but some of my friends were there, like Daniel and Alan, and some of them that I hung out with, and I think my brother Jonah was there too, and Garrett, and we were all there just building his house. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was helping. And before I could leave, he came and caught up with me, and he was almost excited about this idea. He's like, "You guys need to get some property up here. Let's build you guys a house too. I really appreciate you guys helping build my house and all things." And I was like, I would love that. But I wasn't looking for that. I just wanted to come build your guys' house with you. So spending time with you was good. But your dad has been so good to me. He's always so kind to me. I freaking love it. And I think I look to somebody that has a lot of wisdom like that, and I feel like he would be honesty and truth is something that I admire a lot. So that's what he reminds me of. And I'm going from people that you haven't already had on, like your dad, Travis. There's a lot that I appreciate about him too. He was there for me a lot in some of my hard times years ago, and I just find people interesting. So I could probably name a lot of people, and I know I just named men. Let me find some women folk too.
I already asked Jaren's mom and she said no.
That would be interesting. I think she would be interesting. I just want to understand people, like, not for any reason. I just want to know, like, what are you about? Like, who are you? Because on the surface, we all kind of like wear a mask in some way. Whether we intend to or not, there's still a persona that people are seeing of us. And I like to see underneath that, in the sense, and learn who people really are. maybe if you could get him Sid Ewing, I think would be fun.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's all I got for now.
I mean, you can text me if you think of anyone that you think I must have on.
Okay. And if you ever get a room or a space where you can smoke cigars, the first person I recommend is me.
All right. Honestly,
So much more wisdom and experience come when you have a cigar.
I know. I considered just coming straight here after work before even showering or anything, moving this whole setup outside just so we could smoke while we did it.
Yeah. I love having a good cigar. And for some reason, like conversation, I don't know. I don't know if a cigar is considered a bad habit. I don't encourage smoking, especially not cigarettes and some other things, but cigars, I don't feel like they're as bad. And for some reason, when you're doing it, it's like it just feels good to have a conversation. You got a cigar, you have to have a conversation. I don't know.
Well, it sucks to smoke when you're by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. On occasion, maybe I would do it. I've seen circumstances where I'm like, I would do that too. But I've had cigars with people and I end up having a conversation with them for some reason that I don't think I would have had otherwise, that was just so meaningful and like, oh, I crave that now. So it's not even the cigar. Like I like cigars kind of, but not enough to probably do them like by myself, like you said. It's that conversation or that ambiance of the, and maybe there's a part of the masculinity in there too. I think cigars are very masculine, and I like doing masculine things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if I had a stack of wood, we're gonna go chop wood. That's masculine. But no, cigars, I've had conversation with people with cigars that I'm like, I crave it all the time now. And so now I'm like, come over, let's have a cigar, hoping to get that same, so, but protect your stuff because it'll leave a nice pungenty smell and everything.
I know.
I bet Tegan will have a cigar with us too tonight.
Tonight? Are you wanting to stay for that?
I probably better go home.
You want to take a cigar?
Sure. And I appreciate it. You didn't have to get me one though, but I would love to do it. I'll save it for you. I totally love a cigar, but I just need to get home to the fam.
All right.
Remember Tegan?
Tegan? Are you? Oh, yeah. We also have referenced Tegan in every episode.
Well, there you go.
I'm thinking about maybe having him on for like episode 50 or 100 or something.
But... just so people can find out who he is.
Mm,
well, when we have this
great
cigar, you guys bring Tegan with you so he can do all of this.
Yeah, we'll bring Tegan along.
And hopefully I don't put my mouth or my foot in my mouth too much while we're doing the cigars. I do that a lot too.
I don't remember it last time, but
did we do it last time? Where were we last time?
Jaren's wedding.
Oh yeah, that was a good cigar. That was good.
That was pretty fun.
I forgot about that.
Anyway,
are we off?
I think that we should end it because I don't know what time it is, but
8:45.
8:45,
give or take. So if we're done, we're
That's
done.
not so bad.
Like you guys just tell
All
me.
right.
And cut.
We might have you on again because this has been a lot of fun.
Okay. I'd love it. Apparently, I don't have a problem talking.
I knew you didn't.
I hope that's not a bad thing.
No, it was awesome.
So, something are we still on? I don't,
We are still on.
Something my wife suggested because we were watching when Brock Jr. was on here, and she was like, you need to, and I think I mentioned in the chat, but she was like, you should you interview him, and then you get the dad and you interview him, but with the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
Try to be as very specific with the questions and philosophies or whatever, and so you could do a side by side almost to, I don't know if that would be enjoyable, but it would be fascinating to me to see like how far does the apple fall from the tree on different occasions, like
I think it would be enjoyable, but I'd need to plan a lot of deeper questions.
Yeah,
and then
it takes some work.
Mm-hmm. It might also be hard because if I say one thing to Brock Jr. and then he leads me down this road, and then saying that same thing to you lead me down that road.
Yeah.
And then I've got 10 separate strings of questions for each of
for each
you,
road,
you
yeah.
know, and
Well, yeah, but you could still just have your base question that's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
it doesn't, you might just have to segment enough to be like, okay, for this 15 minutes, we got this. Now 15 minutes off. Okay, we're going to move on to, I don't know.
that's a good
Just-
idea.
But because even thinking about it now, like after I got dressed and came, and I'm like, remember back, I'm like, I think he dressed nicer than me. Did I? So, but I just find it, I would find it fascinating to see the differences in, parents and their kids to see. And obviously like with your dad who has lots of sons too, how different are all of them or any of them? Are they all very similar? Or are they all very, but
Bit of both.
It'd be kind of interesting.
Mhm.
Anyway. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It was a lot of fun.
I had a lot of fun too. And with that, this has been the Open Chapter Society. Good day.